Hello Junior Tuckies, this is the last lesson in the exam preparation series. I'm going to be tackling question 5, language editing. I am Mrs. Burdenkamp and I hope this lesson helps you answering language questions in the future. First up, let's look at tips from the GDE about the dreaded language question. Now grade 11s, the language question is the only thing that you can for sure study for in the English paper 1. Why do I say this? It's because you have facts in language. You do not have opinion, you have facts. Something is a full stop, you need to understand what type of punctuation that is and be able to explain its function. You need to know all of your different elements of language, not spot study, and you need to be able to understand how to apply it in a question. So let's have a look at what they suggest you should focus on. First up is the use of apostrophe, semicolon, ellipsis, and hyphen / dash. You need to know the difference between the hyphen and the dash. Then parenthesis, explaining the usage, the function, rather than actually just naming it. Then spelling errors. You need to be able to understand and know your spelling rules, grade 11s. This can also lead to malapropism. You need to know active and passive voice. It can be tested either way. They could ask you to take it from active to passive or passive to active. Then the error of concord or subject-verb agreement. This is a favorite to be asked. And you need to be able to understand that a singular verb goes with a singular subject, a plural subject goes with a plural verb. It's not as difficult as you think. And then once again, the misrelated participle. Let's have a look on the next slide for more tips. Here are a couple more tips. You also need to study the comma splice error. They love asking this in exams. Then abbreviations, acronyms, and contractions. Sentence synthesis, such as creating a sentence. What is a grammatically correct sentence? Malapropism, understanding that a word has been used incorrectly. Identification of the type of sentence. Is it a statement? Is it an exclamation? All of those different things. Then the manipulation of diction, the use of words through synonyms, substitution, or transitioning through parts of speech is becoming more common in the grade 12 papers. So almost asking or giving a word and saying, this is the noun version of the word, I want you to give the adverb version of the word. Now remember, language is now 20% of the entire paper, so you must study and you must revise. Let's practice on the next slide. Question 5, using language correctly. Refer to text G below and answer the questions which follow it. The questions are numbered according to the paragraphs on which they are based. For example, 5.1 is based on paragraph 1. We invaded their jungle world, sporting walking sticks and wearing hiking boots. They didn't seem perturbed. Then we cut down their greenery, their bread and butter, for better access. They took little notice. They stopped and stared for ages. It didn't appear to bother them. We took scores of photographs at close range. No problem. The mountain gorillas of the impenetrable forest in Uganda are insatiable. They are jewels of the jungle that envelops parts of the country, as well as the neighboring Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The environment suits them perfectly. Sadly, the Central African jungles are threatened, as are the world's last remaining mountain gorillas that inhabit them, by man's encroaching in all its invasive forms. To rescue the gorillas, the jungles must be saved and the tsunami of poachers plugged. The 500-kilometer-plus drive from Kampala to Burundi took a long, hard, bone-crunching 11 hours. There were hectic roadworks and a surfeit of speed humps to disrupt the trip, etc. Jungle Safaris Africa took us there in a robust 4x4, which eased the pain substantially. Up hills and into valleys, the journey perched us about 1,800 meters above sea level, looking down on sheer drops into mist-filled jungle-type vegetation. It was exciting, attention-grabbing stuff. But the best of times lay ahead. Now, let's have a look at the questions. So over here, I've started highlighting a little bit. In 5.1, we need to provide a suitable synonym for sporting for 1 mark. So let's look at paragraph 1. Over here, we have sporting, walking sticks, and wearing hiking boots. So what do you do with a walking stick, grade 11s? You usually carry it. So let's have a look at what the memo says. It says carrying. Then let's look at 5.2. Name the part of speech to which there belongs for 1 mark. Parts of speech is a favorite to be asked in a language question because the teachers, your markers, know that you forget it. So let's have a look at what it looks like inside of our paragraph over here. So then we cut down the greenery. Now the key over here, when you have a part of speech like there, that could have 2 possibilities, either being an adjective or being a part of the pronouns. So let's look at there in this sentence. The first thing that I like to do always is to identify the verb. So we cut down, okay? And over here, we're looking at their greenery. The greenery is being explained as theirs. Okay, this is coming before our noun over here, the greenery. So if it comes before the noun, it is usually describing the noun. So let's have a look at what the answer is. It is a possessive adjective. And there we go, we got it for 1 mark. Then let's look at the next question. 5.3. Why is no problem not a finite sentence for 2 marks? Now, this question has 2 parts. You need to understand what a finite sentence means, what a finite verb is, and why no problem is not a finite sentence. An easy way to test if something is a finite sentence or has a finite verb is to think of, does it have a subject, does it have a number, does it have a tense, or SNT. Now, no problem. Does it have a subject? No. Does it have a tense? No. And does it have a number? Is it singular or plural? None of the above. So let's have a look at what the memo says. So it has no subject and there is no tense. And that's how you're going to get your 2 marks. Let's look at the next question. 5.4.2. There is a spelling error, correct it. So we're going to go to paragraph 4. Okay, so I can see the spelling error immediately. How do you see the spelling error, grade 11s? The way that you do this is only to improve your vocab. Read, and read some more. So over here I can see that suits is spelled very interestingly. And let's have a look at the correct way that it should be spelled. It is suits without the E. Then let's look at Let's continue with 5.5. What is conveyed by the use of the collective noun in the tsunami of poachers? 1 mark. Now this is a double-fold question, so we need to actually answer what is conveyed by the use of the collective noun, the tsunami of poachers. Okay, so we need to understand what a collective noun is, and we need to understand what is being conveyed over here. So what is being presented? What is the writer trying to let the reader understand? Let's have a look at our memo. So that there are far too many poachers, that there is an overload, that there is an overflow almost. Then let's go to 5.6.1. It says write out etc. in full. This is knowing your abbreviations and knowing how to spell it, etc. over here, and obviously it must be spelled correctly. This is a language question. Then 5.6.2, Etc. is an example of an abbreviation, an acronym, initialism, or an anagram. Now we know that it is an abbreviation for the word over here that's written out in full. So you will see 6 or 5.6.2 is a abbreviation. Then the last question, what is the function of the hyphens in this sentence? So you need to know the function of a hyphen, grade 11s. Let's have a look at the sentence. So we are looking at paragraph 7. We have a hyphen over here, mist-filled, jungle type, and attention grabbing. In my opinion, they're joining a couple of words over here. So it is creating a compound adjective, not just words. So we get compound nouns, and these are describing the type of vegetation. So it is a compound adjective. Here are a couple of recommendations when writing paper 1. Always revise old exam papers within the time constraints of the paper. It doesn't always help practicing past papers when you actually don't give yourself a time constraint. What you should do is put a timer on your phone and make sure that you are able to do the paper in the allocated time. Then always be aware of the mark allocation. I've said this over and over again. Highlight it. Go back and make sure that you've given 2 points or 3 points. Then you need to use English jargon when you are answering the questions. You need to be able to use image or diction. If we are going to move on to paper 2 in the next series of lessons, you could be using imagery or figurative language, all that different type of jargon. Then use the exam paper as a resource. It is yours. Highlight it, make notes, scribble all over it. Then answer the questions in order of preference and experience. So you don't have to answer your paper from question 1 to question 5. You can answer any question you want first. Just remember to read your instructions on where to write your questions, on the double folio, on a single folio, etc. Then, once again, practice the exam under strict time conditions. A lot of people don't finish their exams and they need to learn how to manage their time correctly. And then remember, 40% of the questions are entry-level questions, so level 1 or 2, the easy questions. But these can be merged into other questions. I hope these lessons and the series on exam preparation for paper 1 is going to help you in the future. Good luck with all of your exams, and remember, practice does make perfect.